Well, by my count, we're on take number 5 on me trying to knock this video out, and I do deeply apologize for the delay in this video. There were a ton of things that got in the way. I had a major project at work that demanded a lot of my attention this week, so I kind of put off the video until I got that out of the way, because I was working a lot of overtime to try and finish the project. Got it done, so we're good to go there. And then around Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I kept trying to knock this thing out, and something would get in the way. Mostly technical difficulties. I was having trouble with my internet service provider all, like, the last couple of days. And I was having problems with my cable as well. That kind of prevented me from watching Smackdown Tuesday night. And everything's just been kind of crazy the last few days, but I'm knocking it out. If you're seeing this right now, it means I got the video knocked out, everything's fine, no more problems, and now I can go ahead and start. And there is a lot to cover. I've got show reviews, I've got major updates in the WWE and things that need to be covered there. Major announcement regarding Lucha Underground. Some major developments happening for New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom show on January 4th. A lot of stuff going on there, but before I get into any of that, I need to do the top 10 matches for the month of October. Yes, I'm halfway done with November, but I still need to do these matches. So, alright, top 10 matches for the month of October 2017. Let's get this knocked out real quick. Alright. Number 10, Pentagon Dark versus Son of Havoc in a ladder match for the vacant Gift of the Gods Championship from Ultima Lucha Trace Part 3. This was the match that would ultimately set up the grand finale to Ultima Lucha Trace, and for that purpose, I think it did a very good job of doing that, setting up Pentagon for his eventual championship win in the main event of Ultima Lucha Trace, and just a good, solid, fun, action-packed ladder match. Not a whole lot else to say other than that, but it did have major storyline implications and is important for that reason. Number 9, Funky Future, the team of Taguchi and Ricochet, taking on Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo, for the IWGP Junior Tag Team titles from King of Pro Wrestling, New Japan show in October. I've already said I'm very impressed with Roppongi 3K. I think they've done very well for themselves as a team. I don't know if I'd have had them win the Junior Tag titles right off the bat in their first, I believe that was their first match as Roppongi 3K. It was, actually. But I think they are a huge breath of fresh air into the Junior Tag Team division. I think a match with the Bucks at the Tokyo Dome event, which I'll talk more about that later, I think it'd be a very exciting one if everything goes well. So, here's hoping for that. Next up, number 8. Another match from King of Pro Wrestling. This was the IWGP Junior Singles title. Kushida defending against Will Ospreay. Very good match with Ospreay getting the Shock title win and winning his first IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. A reign that would not last very long, as we'll get to that when I talk about my review of Power Struggle. Number 7, Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens in a Falls Count Anywhere Hell in a Cell match from Hell in a Cell 2017. A very scary match to watch, to be certain, and I think the twist ending of Sami Zayn turning heel put an extra little oomph to it, gave it a little bit more of an oomph, and made the match as a whole very memorable. But even if they didn't do the heel turn, it would have been a memorable match anyway, because I was just scared out of my wits while watching it. Because I kept expecting, when they were on top, I kept expecting Owens and Shane to just fall right through, because it looked like something that was just bound to happen. Thankfully, nobody got hurt. Shane is still crazy, still diving off the cage, but very fun match, very good, and a good main event to the show. Number 6, Mil Muertes versus Cage versus Jeremiah Crane in a 3-way elimination match for possession of the Gauntlet of the Gods from Ultima Lucha Trace Part 4. Excellent hardcore match, just crazy stuff all around, and Jeremiah Crane was actually kind of the star of the match. When he skewered Cage with those things, whatever the hell they were, that was a very scary moment, and really set it apart from other hardcore matches that you typically see in pro wrestling. So yeah, very good stuff there, really liked it. Number 5, AJ Styles versus Finn Balor from WWE TLC 2017. The match that had absolutely no storyline going into it. Actually, you know what? Fuck that. I made up a storyline in my brain. It's like, oh, they were both former members of the... They were former leaders, I should say, of the Bullet Club. So in my mind, it's like, oh, Balor's mad at AJ because AJ stole his leadership spot in the Bullet Club. They've got unresolved issues. There's your match. And that was all the story I needed. So when you put AJ Styles in there with a Finn Balor, you're going to get something great, and you did here. And it makes me wonder, it's like, man, what could these two do if they actually did have some build-up in storyline? And this was a match that was kind of thrown together as a result of the viral infection going around the locker room that kind of killed the Bray Wyatt Finn Balor match, which, to be perfectly honest, nobody wanted anyway. And yeah, we got this match out of it, and it's a good recovery job by the WWE to give us this match. So good on them for that. And number 4, I'm going to give to The New Day versus the Usos for the Smackdown Tag Team titles in a Hell in a Cell match from Hell in a Cell 2017. Very good match, and what I liked about it is that it was more of a fight, and they worked it more like a fight, and less like a spot fest, and less like a stunt brawl, and them like jumping and flying all over the place. They actually worked it more like a down and dirty, let's get real kind of fight, and I enjoyed that. And major props to Xavier Woods. He's really coming into his own in some of these matches that the New Day's had with the Usos. I think they've done great with each other. It was the only match I enjoyed at Battleground, for those of you who remember my review of that. And just very enjoyable match, and my personal favorite match from the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Number 3, Tetsuya Naito versus Tomohiro Ishii in a Contenders match at King of Pro Wrestling 2017. Excellent match, firmly established Naito as the #1 contender for the Wrestle Kingdom main event. A main event that, you know, one could argue is 4 years in the making. There's actually a great video going around YouTube right now, the fall and rise of Tetsuya Naito, that basically details how he flopped as a babyface and then completely reinvented himself, and now he's one of the top stars in New Japan. Really, it's something that should serve as the template on how to fix Roman Reigns, but I'll post a link to the video in the description because it is very good, and I think it's worth watching. But yeah, this match he had with Ishii, very good kind of like last stop on the way to Wrestle Kingdom in the Dome to face Okada. So yeah, I'm very excited for that match. So hopefully it all goes well. Number 2, Johnny Mundo versus Prince Puma in a title versus career match / Prince Puma versus Pentagon Dark in a career-ending match for the Lucha Underground title. The main event sequence from Ultima Lucha Trace Part 4. The championship matches were both very good, and because they were all kind of one on top of the other, I'm counting it all as one big thing. A very exciting match out of Mundo and Puma, and then Dario flipped the script and let Pentagon cash in his Gift of the Gods title shot opportunity, resulting in Puma versus Pentagon Dark for the title. Vampiro turned on Puma, and now Puma has lost the title and is gone from Lucha Underground. So the whole thing, the whole ebb and flow and the whole evolving storyline was very exciting to watch and very good, and excellent piece of work from Lucha Underground. And finally, my #1 match for the month of October, Fenix versus Marty the Moth Martinez in a mask versus hair match from Ultima Lucha Trace Part 2. Excellent match, and it's the type of stuff I like to see. It's the type of stuff I look for in pro wrestling. You had a storyline with a heel and a face. I cared about what they were fighting over. The characters were well defined. You had external elements like Melissa Santos, who added a lot to this match. And everything just combined to deliver a very exciting and very satisfying conclusion to the whole feud. So, a very violent match as well, which, you know, when you have a grudge match like this, it probably should be a little violent. And very good stuff from both men involved. I think Marty the Moth Martinez is one of the most underappreciated talents in pro wrestling today. I think he is outstanding, and every time I see him, he never ceases to impress me. He is absolutely incredible at playing his character, projecting his character, and doing what he needs to do to keep his heat, and be one of the best heels on the show. I think he is absolutely terrific. And with all that said, brand of the month is going to go to Lucha Underground, largely on the strength of Ultima Lucha Trace, their Season 3 finale, which I feared might be the end of Lucha Underground for good. I think a lot of us Lucha Underground fans were concerned that Ultima Lucha Trace was not only going to be the Season 3 finale, but be the series finale to Lucha Underground. fortunately, we got an announcement on Friday. Lucha Underground is coming back for Season 4, baby, and I couldn't be happier. I am super, super happy that this is happening. Yeah, and we got this, they posted this awesome video of Johnny Mundo talking about his history with Lucha Underground and what he plans to do for Season 4. It's a very awesome video that really sets the stage for what we're going to see in 2018. So here's hoping that Lucha Underground Season 4 is just as good as what we've seen before, and here's hoping they deliver yet another strong season. Because I'm so happy that they're still around. I'm so happy that they're coming back. It'll be interesting to see what they do exactly, because obviously Puma's gone. A bunch of their guys are in Global Force or Impact Wrestling, whatever you want to call them now. So I don't know if they're going to have, I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, Mundo looks like he's going to be with them in Season 4, so I don't know how that's going to work with him on Impact and Lucha Underground. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But yeah, I am super excited and super happy that Lucha Underground is coming back, baby. It's like, and you couldn't have given me better news this week. It just so much fun, and it's so good, and I'm happy that it's back. And I can't wait for Season 3 to pop up on Netflix because I want to watch it again. So nothing but good vibes there. Just super happy that Lucha Underground's coming back. As far as other news goes, we had couple of major developments in the WWE this week. We have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, who were said to have been sent home from the overseas tour for, quote, going into the business for themselves. Apparently there was a situation on TV where they wouldn't feed for the New Day and just opted to just walk out and not let themselves look bad against the New Day, and that caused a kerfuffle or whatever. I need my coffee when I'm filming videos this late. Anyway, so yeah, that's the story going around right now. I don't know any more details other than that. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops moving forward and what Owens and Zayn's places are going to be in the company. You know, but with this, there's this kind of disturbing trend with the WWE right now where people are like walking out, like Nia Jax, who she's back, but Neville walked out, which was very unexpected to a lot of the fans anyway. And now you have this situation with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. It makes me wonder what the atmosphere is like backstage at WWE and what exactly is going on, and are people upset with creative or what? Like, what exactly is going on over there right now? But I don't know. I can't really comment on it until we know more. So that's just something that's going on right now, and it'll just be whatever. When we hear more, I'll be able to give more of my thoughts of what's going on. Another big thing that happened in front of the cameras as part of the show, AJ Styles, to the delight of absolutely everybody, defeated Jinder Mahal to become the WWE Champion. The main event of Survivor Series will now be AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar, title, champion versus champion. It won't be title for title, but I think that's a much better match for Survivor Series, and it makes me wonder what led to them making this change. I've heard low ticket sales for Survivor Series was a factor. I've heard that some people are speculating that Brock Lesnar may have said something. It's like, look, I don't want to work with Jinder. Can you give me somebody better? Which I could see that being a possibility. I'm not saying it did, but you know, I've also heard speculation that Jinder failed a piss test, which is, you know, just ask Roman Reigns. That's a good way to lose a lot. It's a good way to lose your push, at least for a little bit. And so yeah, I mean, if you followed me for any amount of time, you know I have a lot of respect for AJ Styles. So obviously, I think that him holding the title is a much better situation than what they were currently doing prior to this week. And I don't know if this is the end of the Jinder Mahal experiment. I could easily see them just doing the AJ Brock match where Brock goes over, and then Jinder just wins the belt right back. I could easily see them doing that. Because he's got to have the belt for that India tour that, you know, you basically sank the entire year for Smackdown just to make that tour special. I hope it pays off for you. But I guess I could use that to kind of springboard into talking about Jinder Mahal himself. Honestly, you could probably make a strong case that he's the worst WWE champion of all time when you consider he wasn't over when they put the belt on him. He was booked like shit prior to even being pushed to win the title, and then out of nowhere, he's the fucking champion and #1 contender and main eventing pay-per-views. It was just, what the fuck is going on? Like, and I've complained about it before in the past. It's like, look, you can't force us to care about these guys. You've got to cultivate them. You have to get them over with the fans, and you have to find something that clicks with the audience. You can't just willy-nilly do stuff and expect everybody to go along with it like you're the Pied Piper of fucking Hamlin. That's not how it works. We tell you who we like, and then you write stories for those guys to help get them even more over with us, and then give us the matches that we want. It's really not that hard. And sometimes I think Vince gets very stubborn. It's like, I know what's right, I know what I'm doing, but you put your top, most prestigious championship on a guy who had been a jobber for virtually his entire career prior to this. And I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on Jinder the talent. Do I think he's capable of handling a main event push? Based on what I've seen, no. I thought his matches with Orton were mediocre as hell. The Punjabi prison match they had was terrible. I didn't see them, but I heard that the matches with Nakamura weren't much better. It's, so I have my doubts that he can even carry a main event level spot, but, he was also thrust into that spot with no build-up, no anything, and he's had to kind of just take whatever ball they gave him and try to score a touchdown with it, but you can only do so much when they already started you, by breaking your kneecaps. And if the whole point of putting the belt on Jinder was to improve the India tour, my question right off the bat is, okay, two questions. One, why didn't you make him a babyface and make him a star here in the U.S.? Instead of sinking the U.S. market and putting the belt on a guy that nobody cared about, why not slowly build him up as a babyface, get him over with the American audience, and then use him as the big star in India? And then in India, why not have his big title match where he wins the belt? I mean, why not save the title win for India and make it more exciting for the India fan base that he could potentially win the title in India? That, to me, makes more sense because you would get that big main event out of it that would presumably get the crowd that does attend that show very excited and make it feel like more of a big deal. But instead, they just put the belt on a guy that nobody cares about, ran with him for way too fucking long, and we're just kind of like begging for it to end at this point, even if Cena does beat him at WrestleMania, which I cannot believe that match is on the table. That is just, wow, really? That's what we're doing for WrestleMania? Do you hate us that much, Vince? It's even more frustrating when we've been screaming at him for 6 months. It's like, look, let's do AJ Nakamura. They tore the house down at Wrestle Kingdom a couple years ago. Let them do that at WrestleMania. Why not? Is there any, like, justifiable reason to not do that match? I mean, it is what it is. But, yeah, the Jinder Mahal experiment has not gone very well, but I could just as easily see them returning to it. I hope they don't. At this point, I just say, look, just keep running with AJ, and then let Nakamura become #1 contender somehow, and then just do that at WrestleMania. Do Nakamura versus AJ, and just make us all happy. Because you're going to do Reigns versus Brock anyway, and nobody really cares. None of us, like, us, internet marks, we don't care about that match, so give us a match we do care about, and, we won't complain as much. I mean, if you booked AJ versus Nakamura tomorrow, I'd be stoked. I'd be like, yeah, that's a match I want to see. But in any case, so that's pretty much all the goings-on in WWE right now. I do have 2 shows to review. They both happened last Sunday, about a week ago, but I figure I can get some quick reviews out of them and talk about, in the case of the New Japan show, talk about the major implications for Wrestle Kingdom, because there's a lot of interesting stuff that happened that I'm very excited about. All right, Power Struggle 2017. I have the card pulled up right here. My overall impressions of the show were that it was good, and they set up some very cool things for Wrestle Kingdom, so I would call that a success. Couple of things didn't work for me, but overall I thought the show was pretty solid. First match were the Young Bucks taking on Dragon Lee and Titan? It's not Titan, it's some other different pronunciation, but something like that, in a junior heavyweight tag team match. And this was refreshing to me because it was like, oh, a junior heavyweight tag team match that doesn't involve the titles. Makes it look like you got depth in your division, and that tag team tournament you were doing also makes it look like you have depth. I like that. And I like to have matches like this once in a while, like even if it's just thrown on there on a pay-per-view card. It's like, look, it's a Contenders match and you're building guys up with a win. That's fine. I'm completely fine with that. The match itself was solid. It got a little spot festy at points, but that's something that you kind of expect from the Bucks. They've gotten better about it, but I didn't feel like it was as obnoxious here as it is other times. And the Bucks made me laugh by debuting their new submission finisher, the Cease and Desist. Those guys are such assholes. They're great, and I love them, and they're funny as hell, but they are such assholes. God, it's funny. Next up was a 10-man tag. Members of Suzuki Gun versus a bunch of baby faces. I didn't really care about this. Whatever. Next up was a 6-man tag. Tenkozy and Togi Makabe defeating members of the Bullet Club, Chase Owens, Yujiro Takahashi, and Cody. This match felt beneath Cody. Bullet Club lost, which kind of surprised me. Well, I guess not. It's like Cody Rhodes and then like the two like Bullet Club B-listers going up against like fairly, you know, like Tenzan and Kojima and Makabe. Not like top baby faces, but like, you know, middle tier guys. So I don't know, maybe that balances. It felt beneath Cody to be in this match though. So it's one of those like whatever, it was what it was. Next up was Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo defeating Super 69, ACH, and Taguchi in the finals of the 2017 Super Junior Tag Team Tournament. I thought this match was really good. I like that they incorporated how they worked ACH's rib injury into the story of the match, and how it actually seemed to impact the outcome of the match, which is always good for me when they do that. You also got the good, nice athletic stuff, and like I said, Sho and Yo are doing really well for themselves as members of Roppongi 3K, and I think they've already added a huge breath of fresh air to the junior tag team rankings in New Japan. So hopefully we get even more fresh matches out of them. We're going to get at least one at the Dome. We're getting Bucks versus Roppongi 3K, which should be insane, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about Wrestle Kingdom later on. Next up after that was a 10-man tag that I actually liked. It was members of Chaos, led by Kazuchika Okada, taking on members of Los Ingorbernables de Japan, led by Tetsuya Naito. So the two main eventers for Wrestle Kingdom 12 are captaining their respective teams and going all out against each other. And I liked it. It was a faction versus faction, and you had that kind of teaser for Okada and versus Naito. Okada got the win, pretty much easily defeating the lower tier members of Naito's group. And, you know, a lot of the guys got to shine. I thought it was a very entertaining match. And, again, it kind of set the stage even further for Wrestle Kingdom, so I'm fine with that. And I'm super glad they didn't try to shoehorn an Okada title defense into the show, because he's beaten everybody, and we know it's going to be him versus Naito. So why even bother having him defending the title in the interim? Just save it for the Dome. But really good stuff here. Really enjoyed this match. Next up was Minoru Suzuki versus Toru Yano in a bull rope death match for the Never Openweight Championship. I've seen a lot of reviews of this match from this show, and people are kind of shitting on this match. I kind of liked it. It kind of gave me what I wanted, which was Suzuki beating the crap out of Yano, and Yano using his like street smarts and his trickery to gain an advantage and almost beat Suzuki for the title. Because that's one of the things I like about Yano. He doesn't try to be a Tanahashi or an Okada or a Nakamura or anything like that. He's kind of his own thing. More of a comedy act, but I just love the whole presentation with him, where he's basically a shitball wrestler. Like, he sucks, but he keeps getting these fluky wins over guys much better than him, like Tanahashi in the past, like Suzuki, where he got that fluky count-out win over him. I just kind of like that about his character, and here you have him tied to one of the legit scariest men in pro wrestling, and Suzuki pretty much manhandled him for most of the match. And he had a couple run-ins out of it as well, and it was overall a fun match. I don't really see what the hate is, but I guess there's this idea that New Japan is kind of like, oh, that's pure wrestling. It's pure. They don't do comedy. They don't do sports entertainment. And this was a very sports entertainment-y type of match, so if you don't want that in your New Japan, you're probably not going to like this match. I was completely okay with it because I thought it served a storyline purpose, showcased both characters very well, and the right guy went over. So I don't really have any problems with it. I don't know who Suzuki's going to face at the Dome. I would imagine it's either going to be Goto or Ishii. Either one of those is perfectly fine. We'll see how that goes as we've got other things being set up for for Wrestle Kingdom. And moving on from that match, we've got the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship as Marty Scurll, the villain, defeated Will Ospreay, the new champion. Very shocking title defense. Excellent match. Very good stuff that you would expect out of those guys. And the shock title win really put it over the top. It was like, wow, I was not expecting the title to change hands there. But I like that they're staying consistent. They have that storyline point where Scurll has Ospreay's number. Ospreay just can't beat him. And then post-match, we got the setup for the Wrestle Kingdom IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. I'll come back to that in a little bit, but I'm very excited at the prospect of that match, and I thought they set up a real good one for the show. Next up was Kenny Omega versus Beretta for the IWGP United States Championship, a match that was went pretty long, went about 21, 22 minutes, but I felt like Omega dominated most of the second half, which I don't really have a problem with, because to me, if you're facing a guy that's far beneath you and they're not interested in pushing him, then that guy should probably get a fairly dominant win over him. It's just my opinion. Kenny Omega is one of the hottest stars, and what are you going to do with Beretta? So I figured just let Omega kind of get a fairly convincing win over him. And that's pretty much what they did here, so I was fine with it. But the real story going on is what happened after the match, where Y2J himself, Chris Jericho, issued a challenge to Kenny Omega for a U.S. title match at the Tokyo Dome at Wrestle Kingdom 12. That is amazing and a major, major, major pickup for New Japan, and that's a huge match for their card. Chris Jericho's a guy that he's coming off of one of the more successful runs of his career. The feud with Kevin Owens and the friendship they had built in prior to that. The List of Jericho, Stupid Idiots, all that other fun stuff. He's coming off a very successful run, and now he's going to be wrestling in the Tokyo Dome. That is very interesting to me. That is very exciting, and I would hope that Omega would go over. And if Omega does go over, that's going to be huge for him. Absolutely. So there's a lot of intrigue with that match. I'm very excited to see what they deliver. And I thought Jericho's video was very intense and cool and really set the stage very well. So I'm excited. I want to see what they can do with each other. So here's hoping that we get a very strong U.S. title match out of it. And finally, we had Tanahashi versus Kota Ibushi for the IWGP Intercontinental title. Excellent match, as you would expect out of these two. I think they meshed together very well. Had kind of a more athletically sound, like babyface versus babyface match. But, I thought the main event was very good. Tanahashi retained the title, which wasn't very surprising, but was... we didn't close the show on him, per se. We closed the show on... the reveal of Switchblade, who turned out to be Jay White, and he attacked Tanahashi, setting him up as a contender to the Intercontinental title at Wrestle Kingdom 12. I thought a lot of the Switchblade stuff looked very cool. I thought the look was cool. The look of the character was cool. The promo packages were cool. And Jay White is a guy who I'd seen a couple of times, and I always felt like he's very athletic, but there's no character persona there. So he's got to find an identity. And so far, I like the Switchblade character. I think there's something there. So hopefully it works out for him. He has a really strong performance at the Dome, and that sets him up. And New Japan has another great talent to work with. So we'll see how that goes. But as I've alluded to and just flat out stated, the show had a lot of major implications for the big January 4th Tokyo Dome event, Wrestle Kingdom 12. We've got so many big matches already set up. We've got Cody defending the Ring of Honor title against Kota Ibushi. I want to see that match. We've got Roppongi 3K versus the Young Bucks for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship. I want to see that match because I'm liking Roppongi 3K, and the Bucks are literally the biggest opponents, big in terms of star power, that they could possibly have. So I think that could be a very exciting match. We got Marty Scurll defending his newly won IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship in a fatal 4-way against Hiromu Takahashi, Kushida, and Will Ospreay. Those 4 guys are essentially the top 4 junior heavyweights in the singles rankings. And to me, even though my preference is more for singles matches, especially in title matches, I feel like these 4 guys have been established very well as the creme de la creme of that division. So it makes sense for me to have them have this 4-way. And, you know, you've got so many things to play with, like the history between Takahashi and Kushida, the history between Kushida and Will Ospreay, the history between Scurll and Kushida, and Scurll and Ospreay, and there's a lot of different things going on, and it's nice that all 4 guys are interwoven so well. So, yeah, that match could be very good. We've got, as I've said, we've got Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Jay White for the Intercontinental title. We've got Omega versus Jericho for the U.S. title, and we've got Okada versus Naito for the World title. Excellent card so far, and a lot of intrigue. So, looks like Wrestle Kingdom 12 could be yet another great show. So, real good on New Japan. They came through with Power Struggle, and if their goal was to make me more excited for the Wrestle Kingdom 12, they succeeded without question. So that is pretty much all I have for New Japan. I guess now I can go into the other show that I wanted to review. TNA/Impact Wrestling/GFW/ I have no idea. Bound for Glory 2017. An event that it's really sad for me to see what TNA, or the company formerly known as TNA, has become. And Bound for Glory really highlights that to me. There was a time in the mid-2000s where Bound for Glory was one of the better wrestling shows of the year. In 2007, I thought Bound for Glory was the show of the year, and I thought it was the best show that TNA had ever put on. I thought they just completely tore the house down, delivered a little bit of everything, and the show was just great. That is not where they're at now. That is not the case anymore. I don't think they're capable of even putting on a show half as good as Bound for Glory 2007. And here we are 10 years removed from that show, and what we have now is really a lackluster and uninteresting card. I'm looking at the show and all the things that they did. The only things on the show that got any kind of an emotional response from me were Alberto El Patron's promo, where he shouted on Impact Wrestling for not sticking by him when he got charged with domestic abuse from Paige and that whole situation. So, that promo was very intense and very interesting to watch. So, alright, that had a little bit of something. And Gail Kim winning the Knockouts title one more time before she retires, that had a bit of an emotional response and was very good for that. So, but everything else on the show just fell flat for me. Literally, I'll just go up and down the card. Alright, we had a 6-way match for the X Division Championship. Trevor Lee versus Desmond Xavier versus Garza Jr. versus Matt Sydal versus P.D. Williams versus Sanjay Dutt. Now, the difference between the 4-way that New Japan wants to do at the Tokyo Dome and the 6-way match is that the 4-way match that New Japan wants to do will actually have all 4 guys well established as the top of that division. This match is basically most, if not all, of the X Division all in one match, and they just crammed it in there just for the sake of having a video game style match where you bounce and flip all over the place. And that's pretty much what this match was. It's kind of the same as my reviews on the multi-man ladder matches at WrestleMania, where it's like, look, they all look the same after a while. Like, how many more of these multi-man matches are we going to do? And I look back on TNA's history, you look at the X Division Championship, the reason that AJ, Daniels, and Joe work so well, in addition to the fact that all three guys were at their, if not their best, they were very, very good at that point. But they were also well established as the top three guys in the X Division. Nobody questioned that these weren't the top three guys in the X Division, so it made sense to do that match at Unbreakable 2005. Here, it just feels so random. Yes, Trevor Lee beat Sanjay Dutt, but Petey has also been thrown in there for some reason. Seidel, who's coming off of a brief feud with Lashley, what does he fit into all this? Garza Jr., who was in a... his arm looked like it was hanging off the socket the entire time. I mean, he went into this match hurt and probably shouldn't have even been in it, but... And that's the sad part, is like, you get all these crazy spots and you do all these, like, amazing high-flying things, but the match has no substance and people are just not going to care. And if I may borrow a line from Mystery Science Theater 3000, I believe it came from the Werewolf episode, it's economically sound not to have a storyline. That way you can just film people doing stuff. And that's pretty much what a lot of these multi-man X Division matches feel like. It's just them filming people doing stuff, and there's not anything else other than that to it. So, Trevor Lee retained, and nobody seemed to care. Next up is Taiji Ishimori versus Tyson Duh. Is it Tyson Ducks or Duh? I'm not sure. But either way, it was kind of a filler match. Just a quick, easy win for Ishimori, and for that I enjoyed it. It was just a match to establish a new top contender in the X Division. I'm fine with that. I'm completely fine with that. And we need more matches like that, where they're just there to establish somebody. And there's nothing wrong with just having matches that just establish one guy if he's going to get pushed to a championship sometime soon. Next up was Abyss versus Grado in a Monsters Ball match. This match was terrible. It was like a garbage version of a hardcore match, whereas like the Lucha Underground 3-way that I talked about earlier was like this really intense, violent thing. This felt like bad backyard wrestling at times. They incorporated Laurel Van Ness and Rosemary into this, which didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, especially how it played out, where Rosemary attacked Laurel Van Ness, who was attacking Grado, and then all of a sudden she sided with Abyss and started helping him attack Grado. I'm like, wait, why'd you attack Laurel Van Ness then if she's just doing the thing that you were going to do? I don't know. And I don't know if we're going to get an explanation for that, and part of me doesn't even care. Oh, the Timekeeper also fucked up. That was another part of it, where the Timekeeper rang the bell early and pretty much destroyed the finish, which was a botched Black Hole Slam anyway, but... yeah, Abyss got the win, but I guess now's the time to talk about some of the production gaps that were going on in the show. Like, some of the names were wrong on the entrance when guys come out for their entrances and the graphic with their name pops up. There were mistakes there. There were horrible... the backstage promos had terrible audio. It was just kind of a mess, and again, it's just a sign of the times for this company, unfortunately, but... yeah, a lot of production gaps on this show. I wouldn't be surprised if it's already been made into a Botchamania vid. Next up was the 6-man tag, Team Impact, EC3, Eddie Edwards, and James Storm, versus Team AAA, El Hijo del Fantasma, who you Lucha Underground fans may remember as King Cuerno, which is amazing because Fantasma and King Cuerno look like two completely different guys when they wrestle, and it's amazing that this performer is able to convey two completely distinct personalities so fluently and so well. But in any case, yeah, it's Fantasma, Pagano, and Tejano. And I like the layout of the match, like the story of the match, with EC3 being kind of the poison pill and him having to learn how to work with the others to ultimately get the win. The AAA guys look like they couldn't possibly give any less of a shit about this match. Pagano in particular looked terrible. They just looked like they were kind of going through the motions while the Impact guys were trying to make it into a classic. And ultimately neither was achieved, so okay. And following that was the 51-50 street fight between Ohio versus Everything and the Latin American Exchange. This match was for the Tag Team Championship. This match was a very basic hardcore match. They did the big scaffold spot very early in the match, and while they were brawling through the crowd started chanting, "We can't see shit," which I thought was funny. It's like, guys, just put the stuff on the video wall. It's not that hard. I don't know why they don't do that, but In any case, yeah, very basic hardcore match. I felt like it peaked early with the scaffold spot and then kind of tapered off from there. We did get the debut of Sami Callihan, who has now aligned himself with Ohio versus Everything. For those of you who don't know, Sami Callihan is also Jeremiah Crane of Lucha Underground and Solomon Crow in NXT. So he has landed himself in Impact Wrestling now. We'll see how this new run works out for him. I think he's a talented guy, so yeah, he should be a good fixture on the show. But then again, I've seen wrestling promotions suck the good qualities out of guys. So in any case, this match was what it was. OVE got the win and retained the titles. Next up was my pick for match of the night. Gail Kim defeating Sienna and Allie in a triple threat match for the Knockouts Championship to win the Knockouts title one last time before she retires. Good, solid, well-put-together match, and it had an emotional core. There were some bits of sloppiness, especially towards the end, but overall, Gail Kim's victory helped out, and I thought the overall structure of the match was well laid out. So, yeah, my pick for match of the night, easy, and in large part because of the emotional core of Gail Kim winning her last title. So, they had some good stuff there. Next up was the Six Sides of Steel match. Lashley and King Mo with America's Top Team and Dan Lambert in their corner. Dan Lambert, who had like the promo of the year for Impact Wrestling when he brought out all his classic wrestling belts and he made fun of all the wrestling fans. I thought that was like, wow, that was actually a really good promo. But yeah, so they took on the team of Moose and Stephen Bonner. This match was kind of a mess. There were just too many bodies in there, way too much outside interference for a cage match. And the whole thing just kind of came off as sloppy, disorganized, and, like I said, kind of a mess, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Lashley and King Mo got the win. I have no idea what that means for the storyline moving forward. I have not seen this week's episode of Impact, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But, yeah, this match kind of fell flat for me. And next up was the main event. Eli Drake defending the Global Championship against Johnny Impact. Right after Johnny Impact had a very awkward backstage promo. And it's amazing. You look at Johnny Mundo on Lucha Underground, and you look at Johnny Impact on Impact Wrestling, and it's like, it's almost like two different guys. It's like, dude, just be Johnny Mundo in Lucha Underground. You'll be fine. Excuse me. But I thought the main event match was alright. They did this spot where Johnny kicked a ring post by mistake as he was trying to kick Eli Drake. And he sold it for like a second and then worked the rest of the match like he never hurt himself. And I'm like, dude, you could have made the match much better if you sold the injury and tried to make something out of it. But, yeah, the match itself was very basic in terms, like, very basic main event structure. And then, Alberto El Patron came out, living up to his promise that he was going to cause hell for Impact Wrestling. He attacked both guys, laid him out, and then threw Eli Drake on top of Johnny Impact, securing the successful title defense for Eli Drake. And that's it. That's it. That's the show. Again, very lifeless, dull show without a whole lot of intrigue to it. Really just the Alberto Del Rio promo. And, well, El Patron, sorry. El Patron's harder to say than Del Rio. And, yeah, you had that promo, which was very interesting. And you had Gail Kim's title win, which was very emotionally satisfying. Other than that, the show was kind of a waste. Jimmy Jacobs did make his debut during the show. I don't know if he's going to be able to bring anything to Impact Wrestling. That'll be a good, positive influence. I don't know what his role is going to be with Impact Wrestling, but that's one of those, once again, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, this is all I have for you in this video. Thank God it is finally over. I finally got this thing filmed and knocked out for you guys, so that's great. So, yeah, you guys, you go ahead, like, subscribe, comment down below, and hit the little bell button there so you can see all my new videos as they come around. I got a few videos lined up for you, namely my next Wrestle Kingdom reviews, and I'm sure I'll have something set up for NXT TakeOver and Survivor Series, which are coming up very shortly. But that is all I have for you now. I did it, guys. I finally knocked this video out, and I'm super happy about it. But like I said, that's all I've got for you now, so y'all enjoy the rest of your weekend, and peace out.